Continuing from the previous episode 765. The poison sect is located in a desolate land, which is quite desolate. At this time, in a wide space hundreds of miles away from the poison sect, something seemed to come down. Looking around, this is a rather barren land, with no grass and few people. Hee, I haven't seen you for many years, but you are getting older and stronger. After a while, the space shook slightly, and then an old man appeared faintly in an inconspicuous void in the sky. The old man was a silver roe deer. Even if he was quite old, he couldn't hide the powerful aura between his brows. Hey, isn't this Pill King Chenshin, one of the 3 famous Pill Valley giants? The old man glanced at the back slightly when he heard the words. At this moment, a middle-aged man was looking at him behind him. Hee, Senior really likes to joke around. The middle-aged man said calmly, not at all because of the words he looked at. This old man is the current hall master of the ancient desolate hall, Huang Li. Don't underestimate the power of the desolate. Although the ancient desolate hall is not ranked in the top 3 among the sects of Xuantian Santianshan, but in terms of the degree of physical tyranny, I am afraid that it is well deserved. Moreover, although Huang Li is old, his body is extremely strong. More importantly, this Huang Li's current strength is a real half-immortal level. In addition to the unique skills of their ancient desolate temple, I am afraid that only by virtue of the power of the body, they can stand invincible against the real fighting immortals. The gap between the fighting immortals is not a little bit. The fact that Huang Li can deal with the real fighting immortals with the strength of half-immortals is enough to show its horror. The middle-aged man is from Dan Valley. Pill Valley has almost monopolized the entire alchemist of Zan Santian. It can be said without hesitation that more than 90% of the alchemists in Xuantian were recruited by Pill Valley at a very attractive price. After all, if the sect wants to inherit, it has to continuously absorb fresh blood, and the sky-high price offered by Pill Valley is quite tempting, and few people will refuse. The remaining 10% are pitifully small. These people have not joined the Pill Valley for more or less reasons. This is why the major super sects treat the pharmacists as guests. The door is strong, and medicinal herbs are indispensable, and when it comes to medicinal herbs, it is natural to avoid the alchemist. The man is handsome, dressed in expensive alchemist clothes, and the pride between his eyebrows is not afraid of even the strength of the half-immortal desolate force. The man's name is Chen Xin. He is one of the 3 giants in Pill Valley today, ranking 3rd. His strength is the 9-star Do Di. The reason why Chen Xin is not afraid of Huang Li is naturally because of his identity as an alchemist. After all, he is the Chen Xin who is known as the Pill King of Pill Valley. Although his strength is not as good as Huang Li, he is worse than a helper. If the 2 really fight, I am afraid it is not certain who will kill the deer. This should be the entrance to the ruins. Huang Li didn't care about Chen Xin. He glanced around slightly and found that there was indeed a very special energy below that isolated this place, so that they could not find the specific entrance to the ruins. He opened his mouth immediately. Really, just because of the energy that hides the entrance, I am afraid that it must be the powerhouse of fighting immortals. And not to mention the power to seal the entrance. Chen Xin heard the words and nodded slightly. Obviously this is the entrance to the ruins, but the huge power hides it, so it was not until this time that they let them at this time. Just found the basic position. People from other sects have also arrived. Huang Li just wanted to say something, but when he heard Chen Xin say something, he suddenly became quiet. Haha, in the ancient desolate palace, the people from Pill Valley are quite fast. I just don't know if it is possible to enter the ruins so quickly after a long time. A sneer slowly rose from the sky. It was the Xuanling King. With the weakening of the seal at the entrance of each other's ruins, the great powers of all parties also slowly discovered their location. This time, they came to investigate the information and to understand the ruins. Humph! Older Xuanling, don't be arrogant. Huang Li and King Xuanling were mortal enemies, and snorted immediately. Hee, don't worry, you too. There are some people who are here too. Chen Xin saw that the strong man representing the power of the 2 forces was so sharp just after meeting, and he immediately stopped the export. As Chen Xin's voice just fell, some people came slowly. Haha, King Xuanling? The last time I went to the Medusa family, didn't they die? A very arrogant voice descended from the sky. When King Xuanling heard the words, he knew who it was without even thinking about it. Now, there is no one who dares to speak to himself like this, except the mortal enemy Fenxiang Pavilion. And in the burning incense pavilion, the bamboo embers are the most old fire at this time. Bamboo embers, King Xuanling said viciously, and then he wanted to eat bamboo embers with a ghastly face. Oh yo? Zhu Jin floated slightly in the sky, and then laughed. Hee, you guys? With the arrival of these people, a man with a heavy sword on his back slowly stepped into the air. With the arrival of the sword-carrying man, the place instantly became quiet. Even people from Wanjiamen are here. Zhu Jin muttered slowly. Wanjiamen, as the head of the Xuanxin 3 super sects, rarely intervenes in these matters. Even if it is a major event such as the ruins, it seldom participates. Xinya 81 Zhang Wian Wang Yu, Kai 8, approximately 1 ZS, Koem, He, Old Man Zhu, King Xuanling, Chen Xin, Huang Li. I haven't seen each other for hundreds of years. Don't come here and be safe. The man with the sword on his back laughed slowly, but there was a lot of sky hidden in his voice. The sword chi is extremely conspicuous. I'm afraid this guy's sword intent has reached another level. If so, I'm afraid I won't be able to deal with him. Zhu Jin was shocked when he heard this. This person is the deputy head of the current Wanjiamen, Zhu Jianxian. Just by hearing the name, you can tell that he is a fighting fairy, and this guy's comprehension of swords is even more extraordinary, so even if Zhu Jin has the title of the first fighting formation master in Xuanxin, he can't help but feel his scalp hairy. Just how many of us? Seeing that the surrounding space was quiet, Chen Xin said something. The powerhouses among the 9 super sects are not the only ones who feel the location of the ruins. It's okay, since they want to sit and eat, let them wait. Huang Li said with an indifferent expression. Then, let's do it. Jointly tear apart the energy of the hidden entrance, find the entrance, and explore what is in the ruins. It's better to go back to their respective sects with the news. Zhu Jianxian opened his mouth slightly, and then his eyes fixed on the void in front of him. At this time, there was a void in front of the 5 people, and invisible power was radiating from it, and this strange power made everyone feel an ancient breath. With this appearance, apart from the rumored entrance to the ruins, it cannot be anything else. Ask for tickets. The 7th update is over. Can you ask for support? End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 766. Do it. The 5 strong men looked at each other and immediately understood the rigor of the matter, then put aside their grievances and worked hard to join hands. The place where the 5 people are located is an extremely flat piece of flat land in the wild land. If you use the naked eye, you can't see any difference. As soon as the words of the 5 people fell, the dazzling power of life force suddenly burst out from the whole body. The 5 powerhouses present, the weakest one has also reached the level of the 9-star Do Emperor, so he is quite familiar with the use of the power of life and death. Strangeness. Why is this entrance so mysterious? What the asterisk is the master of the ruins doing? Zhu Jin snorted slightly, obviously unable to figure out why the owner of the ruins wanted to bring the ruins to life. So why did he hide the entrance so much and block the news of the ruins so strict? This is obviously not in line with common sense. I didn't find it. After a while, the 5 of them all said in unison, and their voices were full of doubts. Chen Xin, you are a pharmacist. Try it with your soul power. My perception will not be wrong. The ruins are here, but why can't you find them? Zhu Jianxian did not find the entrance, but the ancient breath it really emanated from here, and immediately faced Chen Xindao. Chen Xin murmured, and then without hesitation, suddenly burst out with dazzling soul power, and swept away the flat ground. I don't know if I don't sweep it, I'm shocked when I sweep it. The soul power of the dust heart just poured out, and the temperature of this space suddenly rose suddenly. The next moment, countless gray flames burst out in all directions, madly roaring away at Chen Xin, and its momentum is strong. I am afraid that it must be the strongest. Not good. Chen Xin called out secretly for the first time because of the extraordinary perception of soul power. However, before Chen Xin and other powerhouses could take action, the seemingly ordinary stone sword behind Zhu Jianxian suddenly came out, instantly severing the gray flame. Thank you, Zhu Jianxian. Seeing this, Chen Xin withdrew her soul power and said to Zhu Jianxian. The dazzling gray flame just now was caused by the soul power of Chen Xin. When the other powerhouses saw this, they were all slightly startled. "It doesn't matter," Zhu Zhenxian said, and then stared at the gray flame in the air that was easily cut in half by himself. Entrance? The other people didn't understand why Zhu Zhenxian did this at first, but when the mother's gray flame slowly dissipated, the energy in this space shook violently. "It's coming out!" Zhu Jin shouted, and then looked around vigilantly to prevent any special situation from happening. Haha, the owner of this relic is really a big hand. He hides the entrance of the relic with the power of flame. No wonder it is so hard to find. Although this flame is not a holy flame, the power of the flame tempered by the fighting immortals is no trivial matter. Zhu Zhenxian said, "So this is the entrance." King Xuanling naturally didn't care about a few people. Entrance. After a while, a void appeared on the flat ground. The void presents a vortex shape, without a stone gate, but the ancient aura that faintly exudes, but it is telling that this is the entrance to the ruins. Is this the entrance to the ruins? Huang Li stared at the invisible vortex with some difficulty, and hesitated for a while. Just relying on perception, Huang Li knew that the ruins were full of danger. "What do you guys think?" Zhu Zhenxian took out a jug from nowhere, took a few sips, and then spoke to a few people around him. Now that the entrance has been found, no one knows about what is in the ruins, so Zhu Zhenxian asked, and he dragged these people into the ruins to investigate. Although the seal in the ruins is extremely tyrannical now, with the strength of several of them, there will not be too much problem to enter in a short time. "I agree." Zhu Jin heard the words and was the first to agree. After all, the reason for this trip was to investigate the truth of the ruins. They have all come here, and they can't give up halfway. "I agree too." After a while, Huang Li reluctantly said something. "Since I came here today, I must be in the same mood." "Me too." Agreed. After a few minutes, Chen Xin and Xuanling King both said, "If that's the case, then let's go." Zhu Zhenxian finished speaking. Without hesitation, the jug was instantly put away. The silver stone sword behind him was slightly held in his hand, and he said something to everyone. "Let's go." Everyone agreed immediately, and together with Zhu Zhenxian, they turned into a stream of light, went towards the vortex at the entrance of the ruins, and disappeared into the flat ground. Boom, boom, boom. The five of them had just entered the vortex, and suddenly an overwhelming gray flame burst out from the whirlpool. This gray flame was extremely strange, giving them a very cold feeling, but fortunately there was a wine sword immortal open the way ahead, and these gray flames were instantly cut off by him. It seems that this is the real entrance. There is a blindfold on the one outside. After a while, the five people came to a rather empty space. Here, there is no decoration, there is only an extremely ancient iron gate. Above the iron gate, a capitalized gossip stands on it. Gossip. Seeing this, Zhu Zhenxian muttered a few words. "I have a way to decipher this thing, so the four of you will go in for a while, and I will protect the law here." After a few breaths, the Pill King Chen Xin suddenly spoke. "Do you have a solution?" When Huang Li heard the words, he was naturally puzzled. This gossip technique is quite amazing. If one is not careful, I am afraid that several of them will. I used to refine medicine pills, and someone just happened to tell me how to crack this thing. Chen Xin smiled slowly, and then stopped talking. Wei Wei sat cross-legged on the ground, and then a force of life and death suddenly emerged, and at this moment, Chen Wei was still muttering something. "That's the only way," Zhu Jin said. "After all, if you can't crack this thing right now, I'm afraid you won't be able to enter, and Chen Xin is a person, and the four people here believe that he won't do anything that hurts the world. Gossip yin and yang, respect me, open." After a while, Chen Xin's dazzling power of life and death suddenly burst out on the iron gate, and with Chen Xin's spell, the iron gate actually cracked a little bit. "Let's go." The four of them were overjoyed when they saw this, looked at each other and rushed in. "I hope you guys are lucky." Chen Xin closed her eyes slightly after doing all this, obviously trying to maintain the cracked gap. The four of them had just entered the ruins, and suddenly felt a sense of repulsion in the sky, as if the ruins did not allow their strong powers to enter, but the four were not vegetarians, and they showed their skills and then dispersed. Apparently to investigate intelligence. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Shukju mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 767. 20 days passed without knowing it, and it was only 10 days before the news of the ruins came out. During these hours, Xiao Yan didn't go anywhere. He has been in the burning incense pavilion, constantly mastering the techniques of refining pharmacists. With the occasional practice of moving the sky ruler, it can be said without hesitation that Xiaoyan's current strength is only a 6-star Do Emperor. It was complete, but compared to some half-step 7-star fighting emperors, they were not afraid, and Xiaoyan could feel that if the things at the bottom of the press box were not used, I am afraid that the powerhouses in the middle stage of the 7-star fighting emperor could fight. I don't know what happened to the ruins. Xiaoyan was in his room and opened his mouth slightly. At this time, Xiaoyan was also quite helpless. His uncle, the Golden Dragon King, had been in seclusion for a long time, and there was no sign of waking up. However, Long Yi had signs of waking up. The power will skyrocket again. Just when Xiaoyan was puzzled, a familiar figure suddenly appeared on the burning incense pavilion Burning Heaven domain. This figure is none other than Xiaoyan's battle formation master, Zhu Jin. At this time, Zhu Jin didn't know where he came back from, and was quite embarrassed. He obviously didn't know what he was doing. His clothes were all torn and tattered, and even his breath became disordered, and with Xiaoyan's perception, he knew that it was suppressed by a powerful force, and Zhu Jin was already a half-immortal. With that extremely powerful formation, there would be no one but the real Do Xian who could cause this kind of damage to Zhu Jin. No, go and have a look. After Xiaoyan finished speaking, he got up and walked towards Zhu Jin's position. In fact, Zhu Jin is still hidden, except for Xiaoyan and Yi Meng, who are powerful souls. No one else can detect his trace. Unlucky. I didn't expect that the master in the ruins was actually a real fighting immortal. And the restrictions she set up, I am afraid that the 8-star Do Emperor and below will not be able to enter. We also listened to the words of the asterisk Zhu Jianxian and went in to investigate. If everyone has some skills in pressing the bottom of the box, I am afraid that this time I will directly fall into it. Zhu Jin dragged his rather tired body and slowly walked towards his residence. Although the news in the ruins has been investigated by the 5 of them, the price seems to be a bit high. Old Zhu Jin had just stepped into his residence with his forefoot, and just wanted to use his strength to seal up his residence so that others could not detect it, but unexpectedly Xiaoyan's voice sounded slightly. So it's you, stinky brat. Zhu Jin immediately laughed and scolded when he heard the words. Old Zhu, you are? Xiaoyan gently pushed open the door and asked. Sit down and talk. I happen to be looking for you. Zhu Jin did not shy away. Even if he looked like this, he was not afraid of being laughed at by Xiaoyan, and said calmly. As you can see, these scars on my body are caused by the ruins this time. Zhu Jin said, Remains? Elder Zhu, have you entered the ruins? Xiaoyan was shocked when he heard this. Yes, this time the ruins are quite strange, so I, Dan Wang Chenxin, Xuanling Wang, together with the ancient wasteland Wangli and Wanjian Shenju Jianxian entered the ruins together, in order to explore the news in the ruins. Unexpectedly, it almost fell inside. Zhu Lao smiled bitterly. Xiaoyan was even more surprised when he heard this. Zhu Jin is already a half-immortal, and the ruins can actually make a half-immortal strong. So embarrassed. So if you enter the 6-star Do Emperor successfully, isn't it a death sentence? I know what you're thinking, don't worry, although the ruins this time are dangerous. In fact, no one who exceeds the 8-star Do Emperor can enter. Our old guys just broke in rashly and almost had an accident. Zhu Lao seemed to see Xiaoyan's thoughts and said. Seeing this, Xiaoyan nodded immediately. If it wasn't for old Bamboo to investigate, I'm afraid the news in the ruins would still be blocked. I don't know, Zhu Lao, this time the ruins. After a slight pause, a few healing medicines flashed on the palm, and they handed them over to Zhu Lao. Although there are 9 deaths, the secrets in the ruins have been known to all of us. So that's the first reason why I came back and wanted to find you. Listen, the owner of the ruins this time is named Fairy Moon, a woman whose strength has reached the level of a 2-star fighting fairy. You don't need to ask about the 2-star fighting immortals, you just need to know that in the entire Xuanzhen 3 days, the fighting immortals are basically 1-star ranks, and anyone who can reach the 2-star fighting immortals is the existence of Phoenix Hair Water Chestnut. And it can be said unceremoniously that a 2-star fighting immortal can deal with multiple 1-star fighting immortals at the same time. In this ruin, there is an inheritance about the Fairy Moon. When you choose the sect, the woman next to you has the identity of the inheritor. This time, I am afraid that the Wanhua Pavilion will spare no effort, and the Xuanling royal family is also afraid of Wanhua Pavilion, so it will be secretly blocked. And your mission is to assist that woman to obtain the true inheritance of the Moon Fairy. Although this is not an easy task, I believe you can do it. Zhu Lao smiled. I remember that the relationship between our Fenxiang Pavilion and Wanhua Pavilion doesn't seem to be so good? Xiao Yan asked with doubts. Although Yueru has the identity of the inheritor, Xiao Yan will do his best to help her without Zhu Jin saying it, but now that this is said from Zhu Lao, it will be different. Bamboo embers can now be said to represent the entire incense pavilion. That was in the past. In the future, our relationship with Wanhua Pavilion and Poison Sect will only be better than you imagine. Zhu Lao pretended to say something mysterious. Besides, there are quite a few immortal artifacts and all kinds of elixir in the ruins this time, Zhu Lao Zaidu said. I don't know if there is a fire of life and death in the ruins this time. Xiao Yan said as if he suddenly remembered something. Life and death fire? Why do you want that thing? Zhu Lao heard the words and was startled at first. Refining medicinal pills, what else can I do? Xiao rolled his eyes at old bamboo and said immediately. In terms of life and death, when I entered before, I smelled a breath. It should be. Zhu Lao said thoughtfully. Really? When Xiao Yan heard the words, he was instantly refreshed. If he can obtain the fire of life and death in this ruins and help Xiao Yi in his evolution, then when the two are possessed, Xiao Yan's strength will be able to reach the level of 9-star Do Di and step into the realm of rank 9. Although this method cannot be used all the time, it can be used as Xiao Yan's last killer. You can't be wrong. Don't forget the spiritual power of my Do Formation Master. Zhu Lao smiled. So good. Xiao Yan was immediately overjoyed. Don't be too happy, boy. In this ruin, almost all the younger disciples of the sect will take action, and most of them have set foot on the 7-star Do Emperor by themselves, and our Fenxiang Pavilion, now the most powerful, right in front of me. Zhu Lao smiled. Where's Zhu Yuan? Xiao Yan asked. He just went out to practice not long ago. Zhu Lao smiled. It doesn't matter. Even if it is the Longtan Tiger's den, I have to go. Xiao Yan said extremely hotly. Haha, that's how I can be considered a disciple of the People's Hall of the Burning Incense Pavilion. Zhu Lao smiled happily. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Shukju mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 768. So speaking of the ruins, I really have some expectations. Xiao Yan suddenly smiled at old Zhu. If that's the case, then the disciple will not disturb the old Jew's recovery. Xiao Yan slowly placed the medicinal pill on the table, and had the intention of leaving. You should also start preparing. We entered the ruins rashly this time and broke the seal of the ruins. It seems that in another month, the entrance to the ruins will be completely exposed. And that day was the day when the ruins opened. Elder Zhu said. There's still a month. Xiao Yan heard the words, and immediately thought about some other things. No hurry, I'm looking for you. The ruins are just one of the things. There is actually another thing. Elder Zhu said slowly. There is one more thing? Xiao Yan heard that, and suddenly felt that something was wrong. I believe you vaguely felt it. There are almost all disciples with fire attributes in our Burning Incense Pavilion. Whether it is Tungtian or Doji Pavilion, there are more or less auras that you are familiar with. What I said should be correct, right? Asked with a smile. Is it Sheng Yan? Seeing that Elder Zhu said straight to the point, Xiao Yan immediately frowned, as if he remembered something, and asked tentatively. In fact, since the day Xiao Yan joined the Fenxiang Pavilion, he had vaguely felt that some forbidden areas in the Fenxiang Pavilion contained the aura of Holy Flame, although it was extremely weak. That's right, it's Holy Flame. Zhu Lao heard this, but he didn't deny it. This matter has something to do with Shengen? Xiao Yan asked. At the beginning of our Burning Incense Pavilion, there were 1 woman and 2 men. And that woman is the current sect master of the Poison Sect. As for the 2 men, one is the current Fenxiang Pavilion master, and the other. Elder Zhu spoke slightly. As for the other person, it's Sheng Yan, right? Xiao Yan seemed to have guessed something long ago and opened his mouth slightly. Good. So, now you know why I came to you? Zhu Lao asked with a smile. Although there is more or less the smell of holy flame in the Fenxiang Pavilion, and the owner of the Fenxiang Pavilion is also rumored to have the power of the holy flame, but I am sure that Schengen is not in the incense pavilion at this time. So you came to me this time to find the holy flame? Or save Sheng Yan? Xiao Yan wondered. As expected of a guy with holy flame, his sense of smell is so sharp. After hearing this, Elder Zhu was surprised by Xiao Yan's judgment. Hee, I didn't learn this from you, Xiao Yan said with a smile. Actually, when I sent you to the desert mountain range, it was just to let you experience the power of the alien race. I didn't expect you to conquer the holy flame. The holy flame was prepared for the pavilion master. Zhu Lao felt a little helpless. Road. Xiao Yan suddenly had a bad feeling when he heard this. Now the holy flame has also been swallowed by you, so as compensation, this time our plan requires your holy flame. Elder Zhu opened his mouth slightly. Plan? Xiao Yan asked in surprise. You don't need to worry about those things. Zhu Lao smiled. After all, the powerhouses involved in this plan are too powerful. Although Xiao Yan has holy flame, his strength is too weak. Even if he goes, it will be a hindrance. Moreover, Xiao Yan can be said to be an outstanding seedling of the burning incense pavilion. With the character of bamboo embers, he will definitely not let him do such dangerous things. When I entered the Xuanling Imperial Pond on the first floor of the underground palace of the Xuanling royal family, I felt an aura that was exactly the same as what I felt in the burning incense pavilion. And I have an 80% certainty that there is definitely a holy flame in the 7th floor of the underground palace. Xiao Yan said decisively. Ha. I didn't expect you to be really smart, old Zhu said with a smile. But I need my holy flame. What should I do? The next moment, Xiao Yan simply stopped asking about this plan. It's very simple. You just need to spread out a trace of the source of holy flame to me. We will find him based on the sense of the power of holy flame. Elder Zhu said solemnly. Elder Zhu, the hidden dangers in the underground palace are far more dangerous than you think. Xiao Yan suddenly said solemnly. Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang Yu, Kai 8, approximately 1 ZS, Coem, I know, but this is the last chance. And we have a comprehensive plan. This time, we can only succeed, not fail. How could Lao Zhu not know the danger in the underground palace? But this time, in order to stop the Wanhua Pavilion, the Xuanling royal family will definitely send out strong people. So this will be their last chance. If it is delayed, I am afraid that Yan Qi's life will not be guaranteed. Oh, okay. Xiao Yan shook his head slowly. These things were beyond the scope of his own decision, and immediately said helplessly. Get out! The next moment, Xiao Yan didn't hesitate. He suddenly mentioned the aura all over his body, and suddenly both the fiery red holy flame crystal and the earthy yellow holy flame surged out at the same time. Chi. On Xiao Yan's forehead, a trace of sweat kept emerging, obviously stripping away the source of holy flame. Even if it was a trace, it was definitely not easy. Okay. Zhu Lao saw that the jade bottle in front of Xiao Yan was emitting an extremely hot khaki flame, and he immediately stopped Xiao Yan. Hoo. Xiao Yanji's strength took back the holy flame crystal, and then he took a deep breath. Danger and opportunity coexist in the ruins, this time you must seize it. And we haven't climbed the head of the super sect in the burning incense pavilion for a long time. Zhu Lao carefully put away the bottle containing the source of holy flame, and then opened his mouth. Don't worry, Elder Zhu, this time, I will let the entire Zan Santian know the name of our Fenxiang Pavilion's Hall of People. Xiao Yan also smiled. Okay, it's alright, you can go back. By the way, that guy Yi Meng brought Leng Fuyao with him when he asked you to open the ruins. Elder Zhu remembered. Yep, that disciple will not disturb you. Xiao Yan said politely, and then slowly pushed out of the room. I can't believe that the holy flame on the pavilion master of Fenxiang Pavilion is actually that guy's. Xiao Yan walked out of Zhu Lao's room, and immediately returned to his residence slowly, and then muttered to himself. As for the guy in Xiao Yan's mouth, it is obviously the Yan Kai who established the Fenxiang Pavilion together with the pavilion owner of the Fenxiang Pavilion. However, Xiao Yan still had a lot of confusion about the pavilion master of Fenxiang Pavilion. Since this guy can get a deal with the sect master of the poison sect, why is he related to the pavilion master of Wanhua Pavilion? Forget it. Don't think about it for now. Let's go back and prepare some medicinal pills. After all, there are too many variables in the ruins. Xiao Yan slowly shook his head, and then walked towards his residence. And with the 5 Zujin's exploration of the ruins, the news within the ruins was spread, causing the entire Zon Santian to be in turmoil. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 769. As the news about the ruins came out, the entire Xuantian 3 super sects were boiling. Zon 3 days, Yin Mountain. It is shrouded in an invisible dark cloud all day long, and it is quite gloomy and cold, so it is respected as Yinshan by people. In the Yin Mountain, there is Solomon, an extremely low-key sect. How's it going? An old man asked slowly. Report to the gate master, the matter has been clarified. There seems to be some fighting spirit in the ruins this time. It was a man who was speaking. The man was rather gloomy, and his face was clearly black. Obviously, for some reason, it gave off an extremely cold feeling. Fighting soul? Is this true? The door master of Solomon heard the words and stood up from his seat in an instant. Fighting soul, the word, others may not know, but as a half-immortal strength, he is very clear. If you integrate the fighting spirit, I am afraid that it is enough to use the half-immortal strength to cook and kill the fighting immortal powerhouse. Here is the horror of the fighting spirit. The 2 most conspicuous signs of fighting immortals are the realm and the fighting spirit. There is no doubt that the existence of the domain is enough to make the fighting immortal strong stand invincible, but with the power of the fighting spirit, it is enough to destroy the world. It's true, Gunny said lightly. Goonie, this is for you. Remember, this time the ruins prohibit the entry of all 8-star Do D powerhouses, so in any case, you must bring back the Do spirit to me in its entirety, and then you will be indispensable. The Solomon sect master said with a frantic smile. After finishing speaking, a dark object slowly flew towards Gunny's hand. Disciple takes orders. Gunny took the black thing, and then agreed. His eyes were filled with extremely crazy heat. With this thing, I am afraid that in the face of the late-stage 7-star Do D, the powerhouse can stand in an invincible position. After Gon finished speaking, he left here. The next moment, the Solomon sect master laughed strangely. Soul Clan, Xuanling royal family. Do you really think others don't know about your secret activities? But it doesn't matter. As long as I get this fighting spirit, then my strength will skyrocket, let alone 1-star fighting immortals. Gu Ni, you are my Solomon's best disciple for nearly 100 years, and your strength has reached the early stage of the 7-star Do D. I hope you will not let down my expectations. After Solomon's sect master finished speaking, Yinshan was in the dark and cold. Chongshan, where the mountain is high and dangerous, easy to defend and difficult to attack, is the location of the ancient Baron Temple. Palace Master, what exactly is in the ruins this time? When I saw you returning from the ruins that day, you couldn't retreat, and you were obviously injured. At this time, in a rather majestic hall, a young man next to Huang Li spoke slowly. The ruins this time. The things in the ruins are beyond our imagination. Huang Li is quite afraid when he thinks about it now. Since the 5 of them entered the ruins that day, they separated. Others didn't know what kind of waste power they encountered, but when Huang Li entered the ruins, they encountered a strange thing. After Huang Li entered the ruins, he was immediately trapped in a crystal palace. The crystal palace is quite gorgeous, and the living facilities are complete. According to Wang Li's speculation, it is obviously inhabited. However, the waste of wild power is only the power of 9 bulls and 2 tigers, but it is unable to escape from the crystal palace, which makes the ancient palace hall master who has always heard the words of physical skills embarrassed. Feng Hong, take Du Chan with you this time. This relic is the last experience for the 2 of you. The relic will be the sect competition in the future. I hope you 2 can gain a lot from this relic, so as to cope with the sect competition in the future. Huang Li said eloquently. The young man's muscular muscles, at first glance, knew that the strength of his body was extremely terrifying, and it was the most suitable to describe it as 5-dimensional and 3 thick. Du Chun? I'm afraid that this guy's cultivation in the body art line is even better than mine. Feng Hong heard the words and laughed. Feng Hong thinks that he is very successful in the cultivation of physical art, but since Du Chun arrived, Feng Hong only knows what a real genius is. If Feng Hong has some unique advantages in physical skills, then Du Chun is enough to surpass himself just by virtue of his hard work and his unyielding perseverance. Go down and prepare. With your strength in the early stage of 7-star Do D, this ruin will be very exciting. After a while, Huang Li was obviously a little tired, facing Feng Hongdao. N. Feng Hong heard the words, nodded immediately, and went down. What exactly is in that crystal palace? Why do I feel vaguely uneasy? Huang Li shook his head to himself. Very close to the ruins. The base camp of the poison sect in the wildland. Sister, why did the sect master go for so long and haven't come back yet? Will something happen? A young woman was lying slightly in a woman's arms, slightly puzzled. This young woman is actually the person from the poison sect who participated in the Xuanling royal family auction, Lin Zhu. Now Lin Zhu also looks more and more watery, slim, and looks like a lady. Jewer, don't worry, the sect master is free and discreet, but you, and now your strength has reached the 6-star Do Emperor consummation. This is really beyond my expectations. Originally, I thought it would take at least a year for you to be a daring 6-star Do Emperor, but I didn't expect, the woman said slightly. It may be the effect of the 9 yin demon insects. Lin Zhu thought for a while, and said immediately without thinking of any reason. This time the ruins are opened, the entire Xuanchen 3 days is estimated to be another *** storm. The woman opened her mouth, and there seemed to be some regret in her voice. Sister, don't worry, your injury is fine. This time, I will do my best to get the most precious back. When the time comes, all your dark diseases will be healed. Lin Zhu said happily, the thing you brought home before has a great effect on me, and I am much better now. After the woman finished speaking, she got up and walked around to show Lin Zhu. After the 2 women finished speaking, Zaidu talked and laughed. The Xuanling royal family. My king, what's wrong with you? There was no one in the palace, except for King Xuanling and Wen Zi. Wen Zi was a little surprised at this time. Didn't King Xuanling go to investigate the ruins? Why is he extremely weak when he comes back now? Roll. That old bastard, Zhu Jianxian. In the end, I used this king as a shield. If this king hadn't absorbed a trace of the power of holy flame, this time, he really wouldn't have come back. King Xuanling roared, his voice full of anger. My king, calm down. Wen Zi was shocked when he heard the words, and knew what happened without guessing. Wanjiamen, this king has written down this matter. If there is a chance, this king will definitely want your entire sect to be buried with you. King Xuanling said viciously, pass my order, let Qi Horan and Qi Haoqing 2 brothers come and call me quickly. King Xuanling hesitated for a while, then said, yes. Hearing the words, it was naturally a Xuanling king who called the 2 brothers for the relics of this trip. Because these 2 brothers are the most outstanding disciples cultivated by the Xuanling royal family for many years. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Shukju mobile version reading website.